What's better than a movie with blood in the title? There's pretty cool ones like Blood Rage. It's a cool slasher film, not on DVD. Or how about a movie with Massacre in the title, like Swingers Massacre? That's a bad movie, but the name sounds really cool, Swingers Massacre, so you kind of expect sex and a gore fest. How about a title with both Blood Massacre? And it was made in 91. It doesn't look like it was made in 91, but we'll talk about it in a second. VHS was released by 3-Star Releasing. Don't know anything about them. I've never seen another 3-Star Releasing movie, and there's really no information online about any other 3-Star Releasing movies. The artwork is pretty cool. I heard of this title from a book, and I just had to get it just because I had Blood and Massacre in the title, and the description talked about cannibals. So you got cannibals, and you got the title Blood Massacre, so gotta find it. I finally find it on eBay one day. Got it for a couple bucks, of course, in a uncut box. And as you can see, the artwork's pretty cool. It's just, you can't really see detail because it's kind of dark, but you got a silver platter with a rib cage and some bones, maybe a pelvis on there, and you have a severed head, and some crazy redneck looking dude looking at this, like, looks like a shrine with the candles. Don Dohler is like a cult icon. He didn't even make that many films, yet he still has a cult following. They actually made a documentary about him called Blood, Boobs, and Beasts, I think it's called. This movie, made in 1991, does not look like it was made in 1991. The print, not the VHS, but the actual print they used to transfer this movie is so scratched, so grainy. It's definitely a work print because you can even see the splicing tape between the cuts. It might work for the film, but it makes it look like it was a movie from the 70s. It's not. According to IMDb, it's from 1990 or 1991. Well, it starts off with a guy in a bar, and he tries to be like this tough guy. Doesn't even look like a tough guy. He's like a little stocky, balding dude. And he reminds me of George from Seinfeld, and he's trying to act all tough. He asks in the bar, where is he from? And he responds, well, they don't ask any questions. And how cliche is that? You got this little stocky, fat dude, and he's trying to be tough, and it's just not working out for him. I think the girl tries to steal his beer. I watched this scene like 3 times in the beginning. I don't know what happens in the beginning, but I think maybe she steals his beer and he gets pissed off, and then this brawl breaks out, and there's a scene where he's stabbing the girl, but it's obviously he's not stabbing the girl in the face like it looks like it's supposed to look like. He's just stabbing the table. I mean, it's obvious, you're supposed to take the shot more to the side, so it looks like you're going into the girl's face, but you're not. You see it going to the table like 20 times, so that doesn't work. The blood is blood everywhere, but the illusion isn't working there. Then he meets up with some friends, and they're bad guys too, and they decide to go rob a video store. And the video store scene is kind of cool because I like seeing the old video stores from the 80s or 90s or whatever, and you could actually see some of the big boxes and stuff. And one of the guys, right before they're going to rob the store, he's just scoping out the place, and he's looking at some boxes, and of course, they're Don Dohler films. He's looking at a box of the Paragon release of Night Beast, which is an alien film by Don Dohler. And right next to it is another film, I think, called Galaxy Invaders or something, Galaxy something. Don Dohler loved the sci-fi movies or whatever, so of course he did a little homage to himself in the video store. But another interesting note is that right next to it was a Wizard big box for the movie Parasite. So I guess in that video store, and the movie, they're in alphabetical order. But whatever, they start to rob the store, and then you just hear music. You don't hear anything else going on in the place. Don Dohler decided to just put music over it. So they rob the place, and now they're running away. They're driving away from the video store, and they end up like in a really rural area, and they bump into this girl who takes them to this isolated farmhouse kind of thing. And at this point it's getting to be kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or maybe more like House of Thousand Corpses, because the girl that they pick up who takes them to her house is like Baby in House of Thousand Corpses. I hate that character really in that movie, but she just reminds me of that. But they go and terrorize the family. I mean, they don't do anything mean, but it's weird scenes. Like one guy has just randomly bloody sex with one of the girls, and it's like he's cutting her and then licking her blood, and she's looking his blood, and I was like, oh, this is a weird twist in the movie. It's like, all of a sudden, you know, they're terrorizing this family in this rural area, and he's licking her blood, and she's enjoying it. She likes it more than he likes it, so that was kind of weird. So eventually, the bad guys are about to leave the place, and then they realize, you know, let's take their car. They open up the trunk, and there's a dead body in the trunk, and like, whoa, we thought we were the bad guys, so these people are pretty weird, so they go run back in the house, and they realize the family's gone, and that's when everyone starts, you know, the group of bad guys start to get knocked off one by this family, and then they realize that this family is actually a cannibal family. You get, like, instances where you see, the father of the family chowing down on a leg, and, you know, there's some cool little scenes, but it would be so much better if the picture quality really showed the detail, because it just feels like a really bad VHS dupe from the 70s. I don't know, it's just really, really bad, and you can't really see the detail. I think the movie would get probably more of what it deserves, more tension, if it was a better print. The movie's kind of dark, and in the night scenes you could see like spotlight sometimes, and you could see it, you could tell that it's not moonlight. You know, you're supposed to create the illusion of moonlight when you're doing night scenes, and they don't do a really good idea. It just looks like they taped a flashlight up in a branch of a tree and just shined it down on the characters. Alright, so the bad guys in the crew get knocked off one by one. There's two brothers, and there's some chick. One of the guys gets decapitated, I think, and the chick gets, like, impaled on a stake, and the gore is pretty decent, but you can't really see much of it. So who's left is the main bad guy, the stocky fat dude, and he was, like, in Vietnam, so he's out in the woods setting up traps to catch the family, to kill them before they kill him. But it's kind of weird because he's setting up these elaborate traps, and I'm thinking to myself, where is his family while he's setting up these traps? Don't they hear him setting them up? And he's setting off bombs to test them in the woods to see if the trap is going to work. I'm like, where's his family? You know, they have plenty of time to find this guy. He set off bombs in the woods. Why don't they just get him now? It just doesn't make any sense. But he sets up the bombs, and he sets up the bombs, and he makes this weird gun thing that has like a saw blade that's like flings the saw blades, and they fall into the trap, but they don't die. The weirdest twist in the movie. They get him trapped, like he's like steps into a trap, and it slings him up into a tree, and then they're like tormenting him, and then they start peeling their skin off. It was the weirdest thing. You don't expect that. You think you're watching like a Texas Chainsaw ripoff, but then the family members, at this point it's the father and one of the daughters, they're peeling off their skin, and underneath you think, oh, this is a Don Dohler film, maybe they're going to be aliens. They're not aliens. They don't look like aliens anyway. They look like zombies. So I don't understand what it's supposed to be. Are these like dead people who are trying to regenerate their life by eating people and wearing their skin? Do I like the movie? The movie is interesting. I think I would enjoy it more if the film print was better. I just feel like I'm watching a really bad VHS print from one of those multi-packs, because it's so scratched up. So that's Blood Massacre. The VHS is kind of tough to get. It has a really cool name, and pretty decent artwork. The movie is decent. It's worth a watch. Maybe worth watching once or twice. If it ever gets a real good DVD release, I'll buy it. Because I think it has a lot of potential. Keep a lookout for it. And this is Paul. You know me. This is Paul, SlasherIndex.com. Check out the site, and have a good night.
Hey, Daddy, are you all right?
Armed to the teeth.
You know how midnight snacks don't agree with you.
Don't you tell your mother.
All right.
You want some of Monica?
You know I prefer men.
I know. I remember. Your favorite dish is your mother's meatball.